This is Eugene Panrikovich. I'm the laptop screen doc, and the name of the website is www.screensurgeons.com. Today we have a HP G60 laptop computer with a 16-inch CCFL laptop screen that we need to replace the screen on. And this one is special because the screen that goes into this laptop is no longer made and no longer available. So you have to use some tricks to get this thing to work on again. Okay, before we start, we need to remove the battery. We'll flip the laptop over, slide the lever to the right, and remove the battery. Okay, the G60 laptop comes in two flavors, one with a 15.6-inch screen, and that's really easy to find and really easy to replace, and one with a 16-inch screen, and that's the one with the problem, and that's the one we're working with. The best way to tell is to look at a complete model number. In this case it's a G60-235DX. So as a rule of thumb, anything under 500 after the G60 is going to have the 16-inch screen, and anything over the 500 is going to have the 15.6-inch screen. The other place to look at the model number is, it should be down here. Here it is. It's right next to the HP logo. It says G60-235DX. Okay, before we can start working on the screen, we need to get to the screen, and I'll show you how to do that. The other trick with the G60 is that there's two screws on the bottom here, one here and one here, and they're kind of hard to get to. And according to the standard HP procedure, you need to remove part of the laptop plastic parts to get to those two screws. So we're going to do an easier way, and before we start, I'll show you the tools that we're going to use. We're going to have a small flathead screwdriver, and that's to remove those two screws that are in a hard to access position. So it's just from any small screwdriver kit, just make sure it's flathead, and the head is about maybe a 1/16 of an inch wide, maybe a little bit more. We need an electronics screwdriver with a PH1 bit. PH stands for Phillips and 1 stands for the bit size. Just in case, a smaller PH0 bit, we probably won't use it, but we'll just have it in case. An X-Acto knife with a pointed blade to remove the screw covers, and a pair of metal tweezers to remove screws that are stuck. Okay, so let's get started. First we need to remove those two screws. And in order to remove those two screws, we need to remove the screw cover, the rubber screw cover, and we do that with the X-Acto knife. Okay, then we use our flathead screwdriver to grip the screw at the bottom at an angle. The reason I use a flathead, even though it's a Phillips screw, it's easier to grip the screw. So at the beginning, apply some force, like so, and the screw comes out. So make sure you apply some force at the beginning, and that's the best trick to get it out. Okay, and then we use our tweezers to remove the screw. So, alright, next, we do the same thing on the other side. Remove the screw cover. Now let's try to zoom in to see if we can get a better job, better angle. Not sure there's enough light, but we'll try. Okay, so once again, we apply some force at first, and the screw starts coming out. So doing this saves you quite a bit of work taking the laptop apart. So if you don't want to do this, the HP repair manual shows you how to do it the wrong way. I like to do it this way. Okay, so we use our tweezers once again to remove the screw. Okay, next part is to snap the screen bezel off. This one is a little bit tricky too. What I like to do is put my fingertips on the screen side, and when my fingertips gently start lifting up the screen bezel, and you'll hear snapping sounds. In snapping sounds, it's a good sign. That means the bezel is coming off, and slowly work your way around the screen bezel. Like so. It tends to get stuck at the corners. So we'll come back to that. If you get stuck at a part, just let it be and come back to it. Find parts that you're not stuck on. And almost there. And sometimes what works with the screen corners is what worked this time is I put my fingernail on the seam and kind of lifted it up. So sometimes what works is pulling the screen bezel towards you, and it's worked this time. Alright, so next we remove the bottom part, like so. And what I like to do for the final part, for this bulging part, is to use my tweezers and reach underneath, and it finally snaps off. Almost there. A little bit more stubborn than we like, but it's off. Okay. Now normally we would just replace the screen, but this case we have to remove this inverter circuit at the bottom too and remove the cable first. So let's do that first because there's some tricks here too. So what I like to do is pull out the plug that goes to the screen. That's the backlight. That's the wire goes to the backlight, power the backlight, and then we need to remove the inverter circuit. So what I like to do is just kind of slide it out. And there's a tricky part here. This inverter circuit is connected by a cable, and this cable is kind of fragile. I've broken these before. So you have to be very careful and pull the cable out. What I like to do is put my fingernails on the edges, on the tabs on the side, and gently start working it out. If you pull it out just by the cable, you're going to damage the connector, so take your time on it and just slowly work it out, and it comes out like so. Okay, we're not going to need this inverter circuit anymore, so we put this to the side, and it's time to remove the screen. For this screen, the way that the screen is mounted is on some metal mounting brackets, and they're mounted on the sides, and the screws right now are inaccessible, so we have to tilt the screen forward to get to the screws, and in order to do that we have to remove the two screws at the top that are holding the metal mounting brackets to the back of the screen. That's simply. There's one, and there's two. Okay. Once we do that, we can tilt the screen assembly forward, and that should give us enough space, enough room to get to the screws on the side. So let me show you what you have to do. Now, ideally, I would like to loosen up these screws on the bottom that are holding the hinge assembly to the back of the screen assembly, so I can tilt the screen further, but they're hard to reach, so usually I don't do that. And there's just one hard to reach screw at the bottom, so I have to tilt the back of the screen assembly back so my screwdriver can reach. And when I put the screen back together, I usually don't put the screw back in because it would be too hard to do it. I just leave the top 2 screws in it, and that's enough. That's enough force that's enough stability to keep the screen in. Okay, so we're going to remove this screw and keep going. So there's 3 screws on each side, and let's get the third one. Okay, and then we rotate the laptop and do the same thing to the other side. So we kind of pry the screen assembly backward to get to the bottom screw, and we're not going to put this screw in again when we reassemble the laptop. And then we remove the top 2 screws. When you do this, keep the screen assembly tilted backwards, so when you remove all the screws, the screen doesn't just fall forward on you. Okay, so the screen is free from the screws, and now we slowly tilt it forward, and as we tilt it forward, right away we see that the webcam cable is adhered to the back of the screen, so we have to remove the connector to the webcam cable. And we do it slowly and gently, and now we can tilt the screen forward. Okay, like I said, this is a CCFL screen. It's a cold cathode fluorescent backlight instead of a newer LED type of screen. And so there's 2 connections, the plug that we removed before, and also the video cable connection. Okay, now for most CCFL screens, when you change them, we do not remove the inverter circuit, but for this one, since we're doing a conversion to an LED screen, we remove the inverter circuit. Okay, and next, we lift up the adhesive tape and we pull this connector back. Alright, the screen is free. So let's take a look at what we have. It's a 16-inch CCFL screen that is no longer available. And my camera loves to go out of focus at this part. There we go. And it has a plug for the backlight on the bottom, and it has the connection on the bottom, on the top right. Okay, let's take a look at the part number. It's LTN160AT02, and then there's another screen part number, LTN160AT01, that is compatible with this. But as I said before, neither of them is available. So what people have come up with is a conversion kit that'll let you convert a 16-inch LED backlight screen to us. So that it works with a computer that took the CCFL screen. And the way you do this is you have a 16-inch LED screen, and the part number for that is HSD160PHW1, and you have a conversion cable that plugs into the video cable directly here, and also that plugs into the inverted circuit cable that we took out. So let's remove this. And Screen Surgeons has this screen available with the conversion cable already installed, so you don't have to do this part, the installation. And what you do for that is go to screensurgeons.com, click on Buy a Screen, and then there will be a short form for you to fill out, and the form indicates that you have a 16-inch LED screen or 16-inch CCFL screen for HP G60, and give us your email address, and I will reply with a link to buy this particular screen with this converter cable. Alright, so next thing is we've got to connect the converter cable, or we connect video cable to converter. So just like before, the same place where the connector was, we connect the video cable connector, and then we very carefully connect the inverter cable to the second part. So this is a fragile connector, as I said before. And what we do is we use this, the connector that's facing sideways, and slowly working it like so. So this is what the connection is supposed to look like when it's ready. So we made two connections, and now we're going to turn on the screen without finishing it up, because I'll show you what we need to do next. We need to adjust the screen brightness settings. Okay, so we'll put the screen back temporarily, put the battery back in, and turn on the laptop. This one still has the protective film on it, so the picture might not be as bright. Okay, so right away when it turns on, you see that the picture is dim, and you have to adjust the screen brightness. We do this with function F8. So we adjust it so that it's bright again. Then we say start Windows normally, and then we start Windows. So the brightness settings on this new screen and the old screen are going to be different. So unless you change your brightness setting, your screen is going to be very dim unless you change the brightness settings. And that's true both for when it's plugged in and when it's running on battery. So let's get to the starting screen. Okay, this is Windows Vista, but the procedure should be nearly identical to Windows 7 if you have Windows 7. Okay, so what we do on the bottom, and it went dim on me, so let's figure out what happened. Let's adjust the brightness again. Okay, so we adjusted the brightness again. So what we do is we go to click on the battery, and on the bottom there will say more power options. So you have some sort of similar setting on your laptop if it's a Windows 7. So whatever one you click on, whatever one you have selected, HP recommended, power saver, or high performance, you click on change plan settings, and then on battery and plugged in, you turn the power, you turn the brightness all the way up, or nearly all the way up, so that the screen will be bright when you turn on battery. So let's try again. Now we're going to restart the computer, and we'll see if the screen stays bright. Now I've had a couple times for a G60 where this doesn't work, so every time you turn on you have to adjust the screen brightness. It's a minor annoyance, but you just do it once when you turn on and it works, but hopefully it'll work for this case. Okay, so far so good. And we're waiting for it to turn on. And looks like we're okay. So the last thing to test is to connect the power cord to it, because it has its own brightness settings, and make sure that it's still bright with the power cord. Okay, so it's still bright. Okay, and we'll connect the power cord and make sure it still has the same brightness. Okay, the power cord is connected and we have the same brightness. So the screen works. So we used the conversion kit to convert a CCFL laptop to one that can take a LED screen. And there's a couple tricks that you need to do, but it will work. Alright, now the next thing is when you're ready to package everything back up, you'll have this loose video cable. And what I like to do is put it on the bottom and put some Scotch tape on the bottom, secure it to the bottom so it doesn't move around. and then just snap on the screen bezel. Okay, to assemble the laptop, again, you use only the top 2 screws to secure the screen to the metal mounting brackets. Then you put the 2 screws on at the top. Snap the bezel back on. Make sure you don't damage this cable when you snap the bezel back on. And then you put the 2 screws at the bottom and you should be done. And also don't forget to adjust the brightness settings. Okay, once again, we have this screen available from Screen Surgeons. We'll provide free email technical support and we'll give you a compatibility guarantee if you buy it from us. Okay, that's it. My name is Eugene Panrutkovich and the name of the website is www.screensurgeons.com. And thank you for putting up for 20 minutes with me to watch this video.